morning, all of you. Can you hear me properly? Right. If you can hear me properly, students, just give me a thumbs up. Right. Or send me a message. All right. Okay. I got a message. Right. Thanks for your response. Okay, students. Right. Okay. I think all the students has joined right now, and we can start the lecture. Today we are going for lecture 9. Right, lecture 9 means file handling. Last week we did lecture 8 about functions, and we have finished it. And today we are going for file handling. File handling is a new section in Python programming. Still we don't know anything about file handling. Right, here I'm going for the first slide, and this is the introduction part. Most of the time, computer program has to interact with the user. You know that without user interaction, computer is unable to do the tasks. You would want to take inputs from the user and then print some results back, right? So when we need to get some input from the user, we already know a method. I think you can remember. Through the keyboard, we can get any input that we want. Just as an example, if it is an integer, if it is a string, if it is a float, right? So anything we can take, right? For that purpose, we are using this function. Here we already know a built-in function to read a line of text from a standard input. This is our function. This function is already known by yourself. Input, right? So we did input function related activities, right? Today we are moving little bit forward. It means one step ahead. Sometimes inputs for a program are available as files, right? So what happens if our input, if the data that we needed to run the program, which is inside a file, right? So now in this scenario, we are not taking inputs from the keyboard. We are taking the required inputs through a file. Just like in practical scenario, we can prepare a text file, right, through Notepad. Then we can put the data that we want inside that Notepad file and we can save it, right? Now the data is inside that file. So how to read that file, right? That's the important part, right? And the other thing, what I have explained up to now, just open a Notepad and type the data that we want and go to the file menu and click save. Likewise, all these things, what I have explained, are done through the interface, right? But when we are working inside a program, we can't work with the interface, right? We can't use our mouse pointer, then we can't find the app called Notepad. We can't do that, right? So everything what we need to do, we have to do by using program codes, right? No interface access. Everything we have to do by using program codes. That's the special part here, right? Otherwise, creating a file, put some data and save that file is very easy thing. Any small child knows that how to do, right? But the difficult part is how to do this one, how to do the same process by using program codes, right? Here, we may have to write the output to a file. Python provides facilities to read and write files. Okay, now Python is ready to serve our purpose. So what is our purpose? To read content from files and write the content to the files. Both read and write. Here. Now we are starting from the basic level of file accessing. Python has a function open that opens a file and returns a file object. Right. So, first of all, we just want to understand what is the meaning of this opening a file. This is actually something similar to a practical example. Think about that. Right. In our practical life, we are maintaining files. Physical files, right? There are different types of files. Just take an example, the cardboard file. So all of us, we are using these cardboard files, and we can put some sheet of papers, or if you want some books, which is inside this file, right? So what we can store inside this file are called data. But if we want to access this data, first of all, we have to open the file first. Once we open, then we can see sheets of papers, right? So just think about that. There is a file. Inside that, there is a A4 sheet. Inside A4 sheet, we have the information that we want, right? So how can we access this? What is the first step? First step, just open the file, right? Without opening the file, we can't read the content which is inside the file, right? පළවෙනි step එක වෙන්න ඕනේ මේ file එක open කරගන්න එක. අපේ real life එකෙත් එහෙමමයි වෙන්නේ. file එක open කරගත්තොත් තමයි අපිට ඒක ඇතුලේ තියෙන data ටික නැත්නම් information read කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ. නැත්නම් අපිට read කරන්න බෑ. The same behavior applies to this computing environment, right? Here, this is the way of opening a file. Actually, this is the syntax, students. This is the syntax. Here, open is a function. The function is used to open some file, but we have to give the name of that file. Otherwise, the function doesn't know which file to open. Right? Here, we are giving the name of the file. Right? And that is the first parameter. First parameter means the name of the file. Then, the second parameter you can see mod. Mod means to which purpose we are going to open this file. Now you have some problem. To which purpose? What is the meaning of this? To which purpose we are going to open this file? Actually, we have many purposes. Basically, sometimes we are opening a file for reading. Right, just open the file and read it. We can read the content. Sometimes we are opening the file not for reading. We are writing something. We put some content into the file. Right? Sometimes what we are doing, we are reading and writing both. We need both. Right? So we have different purposes in our real life also. Just like in Python environment also, in computing environment, the same thing applies. Right? When we are opening a file, we have to mention the purpose of opening the file. That is mod. right? That is mod. Here I am going to show you there are different types of mods available. Here, if we put R, right? So now I am going for our secondary camera to give some proper understanding about how to write this properly, right? Now you can see both the slide and also the secondary camera here. Now think about this. Now let's take the syntax f equal open, then brackets. The first parameter is name, then the second parameter called mod. Now this is the syntax. Here the first parameter is we have to give the file name. This is file name. So you have to give the name of the file. Then mod means there are different mods, right? The purpose of opening the file. Purpose of opening the file. Right? The purpose. Here you can see, right? There are multiple purposes available. If we put R here, just as an example, if we put R here, the meaning of that one is reading, right? Reading. If we put W for writing, right? If we open a file for reading, right? If we open a file for reading, if we put R here and open it, then we can only read the file. We can't write, right? That's the thing you need to understand here. Likewise, we have different options, and there is another option called A for appending, right? I think you can remember this word when we were doing lists, right? What is appending? We are entering some new data, but we are not going to do any harm for the available data. අපි දැනට ෆයිල් එක ඇතුලේ තියෙන data වලට available data වලට කිසිම හානියක් නොකර අලුතෙන් data add කරනවා. So we are not going to do any harm for the available data which is inside the file. So new data is added just after that, right? After the available data, we are going to put new data. That is appending, right? And you can see another thing here, R plus. What is this R plus? R plus means, students, there is a special meaning. If we want both read and write at the same time, we need to read the content of the file, and if we want to write, we need both. We can use R plus. It means reading and writing both, right? Right. Then think about that. Unfortunately, if we forgot to give this mod, we are giving only the name. Unfortunately, we forgot to give the mod. At that time, right, just as an example, if we give like this, I'm writing only the syntax, open, then only the name, like this, right? No second parameter, only the first parameter is given at that time. So this is a special case, default setting. We are going for the default setting. Default setting means R will be assumed by default, right? R means if we forgot to put this one. The default setting is goes for reading mode. Reading. This one is going for reading mode. Right? Other than that, if we want something, we have to mention like this, one of these. Right? So if you want writing, we have to put W. If you want appending, we have to put A. If you want both read and write, we have to put R plus. Okay. Then here. Now we are moving for some examples. I'm sorry. Here. This one. Here, like this, like the same thing. F equal open test.txt. Test.txt. Now I'm going for that example. Right? Here I'm going to put some line separation. Right. Now what is this? Right? F equal open, then the file name is given. The file name is test.txt, like this. Now what happens? We are going to open a file, right? The name of the file is test.txt. Here you can see opens the test.txt file located in the same directory of Python code file for reading. Now, if we give like this, now we are giving only the name, right? There is no proper address. It means where is this file, right? We haven't indicated this is inside C drive and inside this folder. Likewise, we haven't give such information. We are giving only the name of the file. So we can open like this, but there is a condition. The condition means this file must be inside the directory. Directory means the folder. Right? So this is the directory. Directory means the folder where your program file is in. Right? Here, this is your program file. So I am going to put it as right, something program1.py. This is your program file, and the test.txt also in the same directory, test.txt. Both the program file and this test.txt are in the same folder, same directory, right? If that's so, you can give only the name without the location, right? Without the location, you can give only the name. It's like this. And now I am going to explain what is this F. This F means, students, here I will mention it here. This is called file object. File object. File object means a reference. Once we open test.txt, it means this file, right? We are preparing an object called F, and this F is referring this file. F is a reference, F is referencing this file. So we can use this object for future activities. Future activities means if you want to read something, if you want to write something, then we can use this object to do that tasks, right? This is a reference. This object is pointed this file. if we want to access this file, we have to access through this object. This object is responsible for that. අපිට මේ ෆයිල් එකට යම්කිසි access එකක් කරන්න ඕන නම් read හරි write හරි appending හරි මොනවා හරි access එකක් කරන්න ඕනේ නම් අපි access එක කරන්න ඕනේ මේ හදාගත්ත file object එක හරහා. මේ file object එක තමයි මේ file එක refer කරන්නේ. Right? Okay. Then the next thing, what happens, the file that we want to open is not inside the same directory where our Python program file is in. අපේ Python program file එක තියෙන directory එකේ නෙමෙයි නම් අපිට open කරගන්න අවශ්‍ය file එක තියෙන්නේ. So what we are going to do? If it is in a different directory, right? So I'll move the paper upwards, right? Here I'm taking that example, 2 different directories like this. This is directory 1, this is directory 2, 2 different directories. Here we have the Python file, here we have test.txt, 2 different directories, right? So what we can do, here we can do like this, f open, then here we are not giving only the name. Initially we have given only the name, but now we are giving the complete location address. It means, just as an example, inside C drive, then inside users directory, and inside that we have test.txt like this, the complete location. Then we have to mention the mod that we want to open that file. Here we are giving the complete location address. Here, what is this? Complete location address, right? So why is that? Now the test.txt in a different directory, not in the same directory with the Python file. 2 different directories, right? In this scenario, if we give only the name of the file, we are getting an error. No such file to access, no such file to open. That type of error is coming if we give only the name, right? Okay. Right, students, now please tell me, up to this point, are you perfectly clear with these things? What's your idea? Are you clear? Right, just give me a thumbs up or small text message, then I know that you okay. Right, okay. Okay, students. Right, thanks for your feedback. Then we are moving forward here. Now, reading from a file, right? Now we know the basics. Now we can go ahead. How to open a file and how to read it. Now we know how to open a file. Here, I told you before, if we forgot to give the second parameter, it means if we forgot to give the mod, it automatically goes to the default setting. The default setting is the reading mod. Here, f open the name of the file. Now we know two things here. After analyzing this first statement, we can say two things. What are the two things? The file is in the same directory where our program file is in. That's why we are giving only the name, right? And the other thing, we haven't mentioned the second parameter. The second parameter means mod. We haven't mentioned it. We haven't mentioned it means it goes for the default setting. The file is open for reading. Right. Now we are going to learn how to read the content which is inside the file. Right. Think about, this is your file. Right. myfile.txt, and here you can see there are two lines of statements, two lines of sentences. Then how to read it? There is a special function in Python called read function. Here, this is the read function. So what is the task of the read function? Once we open the file, read the content which is inside the file, right? Read the content and get that content outside. Read the content and get that content outside the file. Once we got it outside, we have to store somewhere. Otherwise, we can't keep. So what we are going to do, we have to prepare a variable, but this variable is prepared as a string type variable. And we are storing the content which is inside the file as a string. Here, this is the variable name, content. So you can put any name that you want, right? So in this example, we have prepared a variable called content. And as I told you before, once we have opened a file, it will create an object. This one is called file object. I told you before, if we want to deal with this file, we have to deal through this object. Right? If you want to do anything inside that file, whether it's read or write, we have to go through this object. That's why when we are calling read, we are calling it as f.read. F means our file. Right? No, not the other files. Our file is F, because that is the reference here. F refer to our file. Then through F, we are reading the content inside the file. And we are taking the content outside and we are keeping it inside a variable, a string type variable. After this statement executes, the content which is inside the file are coming to this string type variable. Then in the very next line, we are printing that variable. So printing that variable means we are printing the content, and we can see the content on our screen like this. This is the output. Right? So that's the way. Right? That's the way of doing it. Right? Okay, right. Now it's fine. Okay, then here. Now we can go for the next one. Right, before that, I just want to confirm this part. It means reading from a file. Are you clear with this one, reading from a file, students? Right, just give me a feedback, a text message or thumbs up, then I know that you have understood this concept well. Right, perfect, good. Okay, students, thanks for your feedback. here. Now we are going for a different function. This is something different than the previous one. So what is that here? Read line. Initially the function is read. The name of the function is read. Now this is read line. So two different functions. So what are the differences, or what is the difference? Read line function reads a single line at a time from the file. Now this function is something special. It's not going to read the whole content inside the file. It's reading one line at a time. Here, once we open a file, right? So we haven't mentioned the mod. It means automatically it goes for reading. That is the default setting. And f dot read line. So object, the file object dot read line. It will read only the first line, like this, only the first line, and take it outside from the file. And we are keeping inside a string type variable called line1. And again we are calling the same function. Then it will read the second line, the next line, and take it to the outside. Then we are going to store inside a different variable called line2. So now the first sentence inside line1, the second sentence inside line2. If we want to print, what we are going to do? Print line1 and print line2. Right? Likewise, you can apply two print statements with line1, right, as the parameter for one print, and line2 as the other parameter for the other print. Right? Print within brackets line1, print within brackets line2. Right? So you need to understand here the difference between the two functions. Read function read the whole content which is inside the file. There is no limitation. But read line is specially designed to read just one sentence at a time, starting from the beginning. First sentence for first read line. If we use second read line, the second sentence. If we have third sentence also, we can use third read line function. Right? So that's the thing. This is not much complex. Okay. Now I am going to explain reading a file by using a different method. Up to now we have discussed the read function, read line function, right? Likewise. Now we are going for something familiar for us, a for loop. How to use a for loop for this purpose? Right. Here I am going to explain this one for you, right? Now let's see. Now f equal open my file dot txt. Only the name is given, no mod is given. No mod is given means this is open for reading. That is the default setting. Then a for loop is there, and I'll mark this one line, then in f here print line. Now this is our program code. Now what happens? Here you know the meaning of this one. Now we have opened the file for reading. Now, for is the keyword for the for loop. Line, this is the variable. You know that for any for loop, we need a variable. Line is the variable. And in is the keyword. In indicates that for what we are going this for statement. For what? Here we are using the for loop for f. F means our file object. Our file object means this for loop is used to our file. This for loop is used for our file. Right? Here, if this is our file, right? My file .txt, right? Inside that two sentences are there. You can see on your screen, right? And once we have created this first line, once we have executed this, f object is created and it points to this file. This is the file object. Now our for loop is working for this f. F means file. Through f we are accessing the file. Now what happens? Then here in the first iteration, we are reading the first sentence, the first line of code. It means code means inside this the first sentence. We are reading the sentence number 1 and assign that sentence into this variable. Right? The same behavior what we have used for loops for lists. In lists also, it's starting with index 0, access index 0, get the content which is inside that index and store it inside the same variable. Right? So in the first iteration, what happens? Right? This line is starting from 0. 0 means, here I'm going to show you, here line, we are accessing the first sentence and read the sentence and get the content and assign to the same variable. Then we are printing that variable. Printing that variable means inside this variable we have the first sentence. Then we are printing the first sentence as the output. Then again we are going for the for loop. When we are going again for the for loop, initially the line is 0, now it's 1. 1 means, right, in the second iteration, right, this is for the first iteration, right? So first iteration. Then I am drawing here line, and this is for second iteration. Second iteration, right, it's reading the second sentence and get the content and store inside the same variable. Now after executing this line, we have the content inside the line variable. We have the content. What is the content? The second sentence. Then we are printing that variable, means we are printing the second sentence also. Again we are trying to go another round, one more round, and line becomes 2, but there is no line called 2. Only we have 0 and 1, no line called 2. It means no sentence just after that. If that's so, we are exiting from the for loop. Right? We are exiting from the for loop. That's the way of accessing a file by using a for loop. Right. Now please give me a small response, students, just small feedback about the content that I have taught you. It means reading from a file through for loop. Is it clear for you? Right, perfect. Okay, then closing file. Right. Let's take some real world example. If we need to read something inside the file, first open the file. Then we can read or write. Then just after that, we are not going to keep that file as it is. Right? We can't throw it away like open. It's already open. We can't keep it as it is. Because why? Someone else can read. Someone else can write. If it is still open, someone else can read, someone else can write. So in our real life also, once we have finished reading or writing, we have to close the file and keep it somewhere safe. Right? The same behavior inside this environment also. Once we have opened a file, we need to close it. But there are some other things in computing environment. Once we have opened a file, you know that we are creating an object. So these objects also need some memory. If we are not close the file, these objects keeps remaining inside the memory. If these objects keeps remaining inside the memory, we are wasting memory without any purpose. Right? So if we need that object, doesn't matter. But after our task is finished also, these objects are keeps remaining inside the memory. It's completely a waste of memory. Because of that, we have to know that once our task is completed, once our task or tasks are completed, then we should know, we must close the file because we need to save the memory. Right here. Once we open the file like this, then after reading it, the content, then finally we must close this. Right? We must close this. And one more thing, students. Once we have closed this, it means once we have executed this line, once we have closed this, as I told you before, F is not available anymore. File object is not available anymore. It will discard. Right? Because of that, if you want to access that file again, you need to open it again. If you need to access that file again, you need to open it again. Right? You need to run the open function with the file name again to read the content. Right? That's the thing you need to understand. So this closure procedure is very important, right, to save the memory. Right. Here. Now, up to this point, what we did is reading. Now we are going for writing. How to open a file for writing purposes. Here. A file has to be opened in write mode in order to write to the file. So as I told you before, if we want to write something, first of all we have to open the file by applying the mod called W. Here like this. We have to mention this mod. Right? We must mention this mod. Otherwise we can't write. Here. Open the name of the file, comma, the second parameter we have to indicate it as a W. Then it will create an empty file. Right? It will create an empty file, right, with W. W means for writing purposes. Right? Then we can use this object to write the content into the file. Here f dot write. Write is the function which can be used to put some content into the file. F dot write. The first one is hello Python. And students, here you can see this. Now you can see this here, backward slash and n, right? Here I have already explained this backslash n and backslash t for you. Backslash t means if you need a tab space, you have to put backslash t. Backslash n means, right, the cursor is in the first line, and if you want to print something on the second line, you have to put backslash n. The cursor goes to the next line. Here, after writing the first line, the cursor is there, right? So here, I will explain that one for you. Here. Now, if this is the file, so output .txt and f is the reference file object. Now in the second statement, f dot write hello Python. So what happens? It will write like this: hello Python. And students, the cursor is here. Cursor is here. If we write another, if we execute another f dot write like this, without this backslash n, it will print here. It will print here. But if you want to print the next line in a new line, the next sentence in a new line, what we have to do is you have to put backslash n at the end. Then if you put a backslash n, what happens? The cursor here automatically goes to here. Now the cursor is here. Then we can write the next sentence here, writing to the file, like this. This is how we are going to print the sentences in different lines, right? So if you want to go for a new line, right, you have to put backslash n like this, backslash n. Then finally you have to close it. Once you have closed it, this object is automatically removing from the memory, right? Okay, this is how we are going to write into a file. Right, now I am going to explain something further about writing. Here students, I told you few minutes ago, everything what we are reading from a file are strings. We are keeping the content inside string variables. Likewise, when we are writing also into a file, we have to write strings. We can't write integers, we can't write floats, we can't write booleans, we can't do that. If we want to write something into a file, it must be a string. Right here, let's see. Written content will not be saved until you close the file. Right? Now, one more thing you need to learn. Here, in the previous example also, if we are not going to put this f dot close, what we have right before, there are two statements of writing, are not going to store inside the file. Right? Are not going to store inside the file. Now, we did that, but it's not stored until we put f dot close. Once we put f dot close, it will save the content inside the file, right? So saving part happens when we apply f dot close, right? This is applicable when we are writing something into a file, right? So we can do the activities, but it's not save inside the file. If we need to save, we have to apply f dot close, right? f dot close කියන එක apply කළාම තමයි අර අපි enter කරපු data ටික ඒ file එකට save වෙන්නේ. එතකන් save වෙන්නේ නැහැ. Right? Here. Now, I told you that just like reading, writing also, if you want to put something inside the file, it must be in string format. If we have something, it means those data which is not in string type, we have to convert it before. අපි ගාව යම්කිසි data එකක් තියෙනවා නම් ඒක string type එකේ නොවන එකක් නම් අපි මුලින් මේක string එකක් හැටියට convert කරගෙන ඉන්න ඕනේ. Right? For converting a different type of data into string type, we have a special function called str function. Here. Now we have opened a file called output.txt for writing. This is the object. And here we have 2018, a value. This is an integer, a complete number, which is stored inside the variable called year. Now this variable, if we check the type of this variable, this is an integer. But we know that we can't store integers inside files. So how to convert it? We are taking that variable as the parameter into the str function. Then str function will convert that integer into a string and store inside this variable called line. Now this line variable is a string. Then we can write the content which is inside this line variable into the file, right? Other than that, we can't store integers, floats, booleans into files. Files are supported only strings, right? So actually that is some sort of a rule here, right? We can't apply any other data types into a file. Only strings are supported, right? Okay. Now, the last one about files. Appending to a file. So, appending to a file means you already know the meaning. We did the same thing when we are doing with lists. Right. So, one more question is coming from a student. What if we write that str 2018, right, year? Yes, it's correct, because 2018 is a value. Always we are not going to store inside a variable and keep the variable as the parameter. No need. Just you can take the value and convert it by using a str function and convert it as a string and store inside another variable. Now, just after executing this, year variable is a string, right? Then you can use year variable as a parameter in your write statement. This is perfectly correct, right? Okay, a good question, right? Okay, students, right? Is that clear for you? Right? Just give me some response. Is it clear for you? You got the required explanation? Right, okay. Then one more question. Can we write f.write 2018? Right, okay. Right, it's my pleasure. So f.write 2018. Yes, right. We can do that. Because 2018 you are giving inside double quotes, right? You can do that because here double quotes indicates the Python system that this 2018 is not a value, it's a string, right? This is perfectly correct, right? So we need conversion only we have values, right? Values means inside a variable, if it stores something as a value, we must convert it before applying it to the file, right? But this one, we already mentioned it as a string. That's why we have used double quotes. This is perfectly correct, right? Okay, students, right? Have you got the correct explanation? Have you satisfied with that, students? You okay? Right, so I am waiting for your response. Are you okay with that, student? It means 2560. All right, okay, right. Now, students, if you have any more questions, just send me a text, okay? Or you can directly communicate with me also, right? Any method, right? Then, appending to a file. Appending means, as I told you before, we did the same thing when we were doing lists. What is appending? We are applying something new into the file, but we are not going to do any harm for the available data, right? Here, now you can see this example, myfile.txt. Inside that file, there are already two sentences. We are opening this file for appending. The mod value is appending A. And now you know that the cursor is here, right? The cursor is here. Now, if we write something, it will writing start from here. We are going to add the content here. But if you want to add the content into a new line, what you have to do is you have to apply \n first. Then the cursor here goes to the new line, right? Goes to the new line. Then we can write the new line content that you want like this, right? Then you can close it. Now you can see there is no harm for the currently available data. We are not going to erase it. We are not going to modify it. So the new content is added into a new line without any harm. That is appending, right? So if you want, you can, right? So you can avoid this \n, no matter. So the new content is added to here. The cursor is here. The new content is added to the same line, the second line. Not going for the third line, content can be added to the second line. But there is no harm for the currently available data, right? Okay, so this is the actually end of the files, right? So we have some remaining things, exceptions, right? Exceptions you have to discuss with me just after this. Then these are the things which is related to files. Now we have discussed examples also, exercises. So what you have to do is in your practical session, you have to do these exercises and see, right? It's very important, right? One by one, please do all the exercises, right? So that responsibility goes to you, right? Don't give up any just a small exercise. Please continue everything, right? All the exercises you have to try out, right? Okay, students, if you have some doubts, any matters, any unclear things, please send me a text or just talk to me, right? Okay. Now, please give me a response, students. Are you okay with the file activities? What's your idea? You okay with the file related things? What I have explained up to now? You okay? Just give me a thumbs up if you're okay. Right. Okay. Right, students. I got your response. Right. Thanks for your response. Then we are moving for exceptions. Right. First of all, we just want to understand what is exceptions. Right. When a Python script encounters a situation that it cannot cope with, it raises an exception. So when we are working with Python, there are some situations, students, Python enables to cope with it. Cope with it means unable to, right, proceed those things due to some reason. This is just like some generating an error, right? So at that time, we have to handle that error. Otherwise, the Python system will exit from our program because the Python is unable to continue due to some reason, right? Then at that type of situations, we must handle that exception, right? Here, these are the examples, right? In this type of situations, Python will raise an exception. Here, opening a non-existing file for read. We are giving a name of a file, but that file is not exist inside that directory. Then Python will find that type of a file, but not available. Then exception is generated. Then accessing a non-existing list index position, right? When we are accessing a list, think about that. We prepare a list and we have added 5 data items. 5 data items means you know that first one is 0, the last one is 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the index numbers. If we try to access index 5, there is no index called 5. It will generate an exception. Then the other thing, dividing a number by 0, right? You know that we can't dividing a number by 0 because it goes for infinity. But I told you before, right, we can't divide a number by 0 inside the Python environment, right? It will generate an exception, right? So these are the 3 examples, right? Here, like this. If you have a program like this, you know the meaning of this. So what is the meaning of this program? We are taking a keyboard input from the user and we are converting that value, the user entered value, into an integer and store inside a variable called num. Then the very next statement, what we are going to do, 100 divide by the number which is given by the user. If the user is already given a positive number or a negative number, doesn't matter, the program will run successfully. But unfortunately, if the user enters 0 as the input, now what happens? Here we are trying to divide 100 by 0. It will get an exception because Python system can't do that, can't proceed. So it will generate an exception called 0 division error. 0 division error. The reason behind that is division by 0. This is the reason and this is the name of the exception, right? So at that type of situations, what happens? if we are not handle this situation, definitely the Python system will exit from the program. Because of that, we have to handle this situation. It means we have to handle this exception here. How we are going to handle this type of exceptions? Right? This is not complex, students. It's something easy. So how we can do that? We can handle exceptions by placing the unsure code in a try block. Now, when we are writing a program, we have some unsure codes. Unsure codes means what is our unsureness? We are thinking that sometimes when the Python system try to run this statement, it will generate an exception. We are not sure, right? If we have some doubt about some statement, what you have to do is you have to put that statement inside a try block like this here. We don't have any problem for this input and conversion thing, integer conversion and assigning part. We have a doubt about this. Why we have a doubt? If the user enters 0 and if we try to divide 100 by 0, it will generate an exception. So this is the unsure statement. The unsure statement, you have to keep it inside try block. Here, this is the try block. Try colon, then indentation, put the statement that you want. Then there is another block called except. Inside except block, what we have to do is we have to handle the problem, right? If the exception happens, how to handle it? Here we are printing a message can't divide by 0. At that time, what is happening? When the user enters 0, the Python system will generate an exception. But Python system not exiting from the program because we have captured it. Capture the exception because it is inside the try block. And how we can handle that? At that type of situation, we are printing a message can't divide by 0. So we are not exiting from the program with an error. We are displaying a message can't divide by 0. Right? Then the user can see that message. Then the user can understand, right? I can't insert the values like 0. Right? The user can understand that. That's the important part. Try block and except block. Right. So please tell me, students, have you understood these try and except blocks and what are the purposes? Have you understood successfully handling exceptions? Just give me a response, feedback. Have you got that? What's your idea? Right, I am waiting for your response, students. Right, anyone please tell me, have you understood this one successfully about what is try and what we are going to put inside try, what is except and what kind of things we are doing inside except? Is it clear for you? Right, okay. Here another question is asking by a student, under the try block can we use if structures as well? Right, under the try block, yes, you can use if structures because in your program code you don't have any sure about that if structure. You can think that this if structure, after executing this if structure, the Python system will generate an exception. You have some thought of like that, then you can keep it. No matter, right? Because all the unsure codes you have to put inside try block, right? No restrictions, you can't keep if, you can't keep loops, no such things. Any Python code, if you are not sure about that code, you can keep it inside try block, right? Okay, right, have you got that, students? Is it clear for you? Have you understood it? Right, if you have any other questions also, please tell me, okay? Always, if you have matters, don't keep it in your mind. Anytime there is no restrictions here, there are no restrictions here. Anytime if you have some matters, just talk to me or send me a message. Right. Then we are going for the next. The except block runs only if an exception was raised from the codes in try block. This except blocks runs only if we got an exception inside the try block. A single try block can have multiple accompanying except blocks. Inside try, we can put multiple codes, and to handle that multiple codes, we can run multiple except blocks. Useful when try block contains statements that may throw different types of exceptions. Right, inside try block we have more than one statement. These statements are generating different types of exceptions. At that time, to handle those different types of exceptions, we have to put different except blocks, right? After the except blocks, you can include an else block. After the except block or blocks, finally, at the end, you can use else block. What is the purpose of having this else block? Runs if the code in the try block didn't raise an exception. What happens? Right? We can't assure that always this Python code is raising an exception. We are getting ready. If the exception happens, we are doing this. But unfortunately, if there is no exception, we have something to do, right? We have something to do. So that part is coming under else block, right? Here, let's see. Int input part is no issue. Inside try, we are applying two statements. 100 divided by num, that is one statement, and open a file. This file name is non-existing file, right? In this example, non-existing file. There is no file with this name, right? Then R means the reading mod. Reading mod means here, as I told you before, if we put R, it's also in reading mode. If we are not going to put R, it goes to the default mode. Default mode is also reading, right? Then in worst case, in this situation, there might be or there may be generate two exceptions. One is if the user enters 0, it will generate 0 divided by 0 exception, right? Here, this is the name of that exception. 0 division error, right? So if that exception happens, this except block will handle that. So how to handle that? It will print can't divide by 0. That is one part. The second part, this statement will generate an error because there is no file called with this name, non-existing file.txt. No file name with that name. No file, no file with that name, right? No such file inside that directory with that name. Then if that's so, the Python system will generate an error. Here that error is called IO error. IO error means input output error. So these file systems belongs to input and output category, right? So input and output means what? Files can be used to get inputs, or if you want, we can output something into the file. That is the writing part. So if there is no file in the directory with this name, definitely Python system will generate an error. That error means exception. So the exception means the name of that exception is IO error. Once it is comes by the Python system, once the Python system generates that, this except block will handle that. How it can be happen? Handling means we are printing a message to the user, file doesn't exist. Right. Then the last part. Unfortunately, no exception encountered. The user enters a negative or positive number. Because of that, no exception encountered as zero division error. And there is a file name with the same name which is inside, we have mentioned inside the open. Right? There is a file name inside the directory with the same name. There is a file with the same name. Because of that, no exception encountered as IO error. Now, what happens? If no exception happens, what we are going to do? Here, we have to print this variable. What is this variable? 100 divided by the given number by the user. Then the result is stored inside this res variable. We are printing it. If no exception encountered, we are printing it. So where we are going to put that? Inside else block. Right? Inside else block. So else block is used for some purpose. If no exceptions are encountered, we are running else. If one of the exceptions are encountered, it will handle by the relevant except block. Right? That's the thing. Other than that, we are going for else. Right. Okay. Student is asking a question. So should we definitely state the error type after the except? Yes. We have to definitely mention this error. Right? Otherwise, Python system can't understand this except statement is for what exception. Right? Python can understand this is an except block, but this except block is for which exception? To understand that, the Python system need this error. Right? Now you have a problem. How do you know about this error? That is your next question. First time, run this and it will get an exception. Here first run the program as it is. Then it will get an error. It will get this exception. Then take a copy of that. Then copy of the name. Then put that name into your except block. Put the program into the try block, the relevant statements into the try block, then except, keep the copy of that error just after the except. Right? That is the normal process of handling an exception. The very first time in any situation, students, the very first time we can't handle exceptions. But once we have faced to this issue, then we can recover that by handling the exception. right? That's the way. Have you got the answer, students? Are you okay with that? Right? Do we need to mention the error type even if we are finding one exception? Yes, right? Yes, it means you are asking like this, right? Like this. So it's better to put the name of the exception, because in here, this is the very basic handling exception example. So here, if we didn't mention the name of the exception also, this one is working. But we are learning to become a professional programmers, right? Not just a general programmers. So why we are learning this? To become professional programmers. So professional programmers always mention the required things. It means not just a except. So you have to mention the name of this exception. So some person saw your program code, then that person knows that you are a professional programmer, right? That's the thing. So other than that, this program is working, right? No errors. The program is successfully working, but you have to be professional, right? Okay. Have you got the answer? Right. Okay. Right. So my pleasure, students. Right. Now here, students, we have finished today's content. Actually, today's session is finished, right? Okay. Another student is asking question. I forgot to submit lab assignment 7. Could you please extend the deadline for me? Right. So to extend the deadline, students, I can't directly do that because there are some rules and regulations inside the department, right? So that's why they are giving the deadline. But unfortunately, if you faced, right? Okay. But unfortunately, we know that, right? We are facing some illnesses, right? Very serious matters. Because of that, we have to face these type of situations. So what you have to do is you have to meet. First of all, you have to inform this one to your instructor, and right, you have to go to the campus, right? I can inform them, right? I will inform them, but from your side, you have to prove that what happened to you. If it is an illness, you have to prove that, right? If it is some any other reason, you have to give some evidence for that. Then we can consider, right? From my side also, I'll inform them. Then they will, right? After giving some evidence and proofs, then they will consider about your request. That is the official process, students, right? So today I will inform department about this matter, right? What you have to do is you have to inform Mr. Udara first, then he will record your identifications. It means student registration numbers and what is your assignment you delayed to submit, and everything he will note down. Then just after that, then I will give you the guidance through Mr. Udara what you have to do from your side, right? So most of the time the normal procedure is you have to provide some evidence what you have faced, right? If it is a sickness, you have to prove that. Then they will attend for this matter, right? Attend to your request, right? So we'll see, right? Yes, we are taking some part of the some part of marks, right? So that is the decision we have taken up to now, but sometimes these decisions might be changed due to the situation of the country, right? So still there is a doubt about our mid-semester examination. It's not fixed. What we have decided today, right, the 24th, we have decided to have our mid-semester examination today. But unfortunately, due to these issues inside the country, we are unable to do that, right? So we are planning to have your mid-semester examination. Once the problems are solved, then once you can come physically into the lectures, then we can proceed with that, right? So up to this point we have discussed like that, right? So we'll see, right? I will inform. Yes, another student is asking a question. Will you be able to conduct a session to teach us the mistakes on the lab assignments and practice questions? Okay, right. That is from your side, you are making a request. I will inform your request to the department, right, students? Right, then you are thinking that you are making some mistakes in lab assignments and practice questions, right? So I'll make this request to the department. So then we'll see. Sometimes Mr. Udara can assist you, right? So if he is unable to do that, right, he is unable to discuss with these matters with you, then I can attend to this problem, right? That is the official procedure. First we have to go to the instructor level. Then if the instructor is not right, it means instructor is unable to provide the answers for your questions, then I can attend. That's the professional procedure, right? We'll see. I'll make this request, right? Okay, then let's see. It means we cannot name exceptions by our own, right? Here actually exceptions means, students, this is not a user defined one. We are users, we are programmers. So when we are writing a program, we can put any variable name, right? Any name for a list. Those are customized things. But exceptions means some sort of errors. So these errors are generated by Python system. So we can't change the names, right? So those are already defined, right? So what we have to do is, once we got that type of exception, we have to handle it, because we are not the people who generates exceptions. The generating part is done by Python system, right? That's why we are unable to change the names. That's why we are unable to put our own names, right? Because we don't have that responsibility, right? Okay, right, it's my pleasure. So anything else, students? Do you have any questions? Right, okay, so no need to worry about what you have asked, students. I will inform today about your requests, about your late submissions, and also one student made me a request about the explanation of the questions in the assignments and laboratory related things, right? So I'll give you a solution for that, right? So Mr. Udara will contact you and do the relevant things for you, right? No need to worry about that. Right, anything else? Any more questions? Right. So I think you don't have any questions, right? In physical sessions also we are facing this issue, no? No questions. But you are now okay, right? In physical sessions, very rarely students asking questions, but now you asking. It's really good. I'm so happy with that, right? Yeah, mids exam means, as I told you before, we have planned to have it today, but unfortunately, due to the situation of the country, we have postponed it. So we are planning to have your mid-semester examination after this matter sorted out. It means Once you can come to the university physically, then we are going to have your mid-semester examination. That is our decision up to now. But if we change the decision someday, then definitely we will inform you, right? We will inform you before that, right? So on these days, what you have to do is, now you have the free time, then you have to study what we have completed up to now, right? Study everything, because now you have free time. Please do that. Then you are ready to face to the mid-semester examination anytime, right? Please prepare yourself, right? Okay. Then what else, students? Any questions? Right. I think you don't have any more questions. Okay, students, I'm asking my final question from you as usual. What about today's content? Is it perfectly clear for all of you? Just give me a small response. It means small feedback, just a small text or thumbs up, right? Then I know that all of you understood well. Right. Okay, right. Okay, students, thank you very much for your response, right? Okay, and now we can wind up the session, right? So on next week, let's see what we can do. If the situation of the country is good, we can go for a physical lectures, right? Otherwise, we have to continue like this online sessions, right? So we'll see. We can't say anything exactly in this situation, right? We'll see. Okay, students, we'll meet on next week. Have a nice day too, right? Okay, bye. Right, it's my pleasure, students, right?